At the end of the last lecture module, we were following our natural contemporary dispositions to categorize the mental and the physical as distinct phenomena, composing distinct domains with fundamentally different kinds of properties. When we do that, it begins to trigger other questions. So if that really is the case, then how is it that things that are potentially mental differ from things that are physical? Are we in fact physical things? And if we are physical things, why can't some other physical things have our mental properties? And it's answering these questions, addressing these concerns, that we find the central motivation for positing an oppositional substance dualism framework. So if you're someone like Descartes, you hold that oppositional substance dualism position, according to which the reason why the mental and the physical seem so distinct is that there are in fact two different kinds of substances, two fundamentally different kinds of stuff. And they each have distinct characteristic properties that are in fact oppositional to one another. And I model this in the slides and in the text, using little bubbles for the models. The fact that substance dualism satisfies this intuition that the mental and the physical are quite distinct kinds of stuff, having quite distinct kinds of properties, provides this central motivation for theorists to adopt substance dualism as their ontological framework. However, the very source of its motivation, the strength of substance dualism, also gives rise to its greatest explanatory challenge. Namely, if we understand these two different kinds of phenomenon as resulting from two fundamentally different kinds of stuff having fundamentally different kinds of properties, how do we understand the constant and seemingly seamless interaction between them? Descartes' oppositional substance dualism accepts that there is this interaction and seeks to provide mechanisms for explaining it through theories of sensation and theories of the generation and control of bodily motions. However, as we noted, Descartes' mechanism, the ethereal substance called animal spirits that flows within the tubules of our nerves up to the pineal gland, where it can affect and be affected by the switchboard, as it were, between our physical body and that mental substance, our mind. That mechanism that Descartes posits is physiologically quite inaccurate and also doesn't help us to understand that interaction, because the interaction would have to be explained by explaining how it is that mental substance can affect the physical substance of the pineal gland in the first place. Worse still, even if the interactionists were to come up with a story about how the mind can cause changes in the physical world and the world can cause changes in the mind, the direction from the mind to the world poses a problem for the general success that you have in explanations within the physical domain already. So if the mind causes changes in the physical world, it has to do that by introducing force, and hence it violates conservation of energy. Conservation of energy, of course, is a general principle governing dynamical models in the physical realm. Simply put, conservation of energy says the amount of energy in a system remains the same unless energy is added or deleted from that system. Physical to mental causation would also violate the principle of the conservation of energy, since if the physical causes the mental, it would have to do so by sending energy to the mental, hence draining the physical of energy. Since E equals mc squared, net losses of energy from mental physical causation or net increases in energy as a result of mental physical causation would mean that there was an increase in matter or a decrease in matter, and that too would violate a general principle governing dynamical models for physics, specifically the conservation of mass, which again says that in a closed system, no mass or energy going in or out, the amount of mass in that system will remain constant. As a result, we see these two interlocking problems. On the one hand, it is difficult to understand how these divergent physical and mental substances with their opposing properties are supposed to causally interact. On the other hand, if they do causally interact, it would lead to chaos within our well-established, highly advanced, and incredibly useful set of physical domain dynamical models. In the next lecture module, we'll take a look at another strategy besides interactionism for trying to deal with this problem.